So, good evening and good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Yu Yuan. It's my honor to give this presentation regarding how we can use blockchain to help with the pandemic surveillance. Uh, uh, the the title of my presentation is a global initiative on blockchain-based omnidirectional pandemic surveillance, which is a project. Actually, we call that an industry connections activity under the IEEE standards, under IEEE Standards Association, and this effort, we say that is like how we can fight the COVID-19 pandemic by knowing the unknown in the right way. Because the purpose or the underneath philosophy is to using technology, especially blockchain, to help us know the unknown in terms of the pandemic distribution and the dynamics, so that we can optimize how we can uh, how we can manage our control measures and resources. So my role in this effort is I'm chairing these efforts, and also my another role is IEEE Consumer Technology Society Standards Committee. So this effort currently we have three authorizations within IEEE. One is that it's IEEE Type Committee on Standards Special Project. Uh, TAB stands for Technical Activities Board, in case some of you don't know. And also, we got approved as an IEEE SA uh, Standards Association, uh, Standards Association uh, Industry Connections Activity. And also, we established a working group, officially a working group, that working on the standards related to this effort. And the working group, the name is P2677, which is a number of our standards under this effort. So let me go ahead and give you some background. Background is that that for now the COVID-19 has been around our life for almost 2 years, but during the pandemic surveillance, so different countries are using different ways to control the pandemic. For now, uh, we would say that the current practice of pandemic surveillance is sort of uh, not close to perfection or even far from perfection. For now, the pandemic surveillance is mainly conducted within the healthcare industry, especially the public health sector. But we do have many digital technologies which we can leverage to help with this purpose, this mission. Especially the digital technologies such as blockchain and artificial intelligence. We can use them to improve the efficiency, transparency, and the privacy of our pandemic surveillance. So, in our opinion, efficiency, transparency, and privacy are three most important factors when we are talking about the pandemic surveillance. If we have a successful pandemic surveillance, um, so the idea is that we should integrate data from a wide range of sources, not only from those official data acquired by public health sector, but also we can leverage data from individuals and from multiple industries such as healthcare, telecom, transportation, retail, etc. So with all this data putting together collectively, we can better detect and respond to pandemic, not just for today's COVID-19, but for any future pandemics. And also, we will be especially be able to precisely monitor the pandemic at a fine-grained level. Um, some of you may be aware that in some countries, such as like China, so currently, if there are some positive cases in a region, then the entire district or the entire, at least the entire, I would say, neighborhood or community would be identified as like a medium risk or high risk area. But we could actually, with the technologies, we can do that in a more precisely way, more precise way from the community, from the county level or city level to community level or building level. And also we can assess the risk of infection around each person in a nearly real-time way. Meanwhile, we still protect the data privacy of each individual and also the entities who are contributing their data. So our goal or our initiative will actually facilitate the development and the deployment of such platforms globally, so that we can help not only stem the spread of virus, but also reduce the risk of reopening the economy in addressing current pandemics or epidemics. Currently, some countries have already been reopened almost to the full scale, but still there are some countries which are still using the policy to try to stem the spread of a virus as much as possible. So not only for now, but also for the future, our goal is to set up the platform and also recommended practices so that our economy and our daily life could be least influenced. So like the picture diagram on this page, if we can do pandemic surveillance and with efficiency, transparency, and privacy, it would be helpful to reopening the economy and stemming the spread of virus. And especially our platform has some key features in the aspects of efficiency, transparency, and privacy. So the most important feature is that we should be able to track the spread of virus precisely at the community level and building level rather than the county and the city level. So there are two examples I put on the slide. One is county and the city level, the positive cases or the level of the risk, the level of risk or level of existing cases in different counties and cities in the Los Angeles area. But our goal is to make this push this to a much more fine-graded way, much more fine-graded level, so that we could be able to tell people like, hey, this community or this building is sort of with higher risk than others, so that people could use this to guide their daily life and work more precisely. And in that way, the impact on our economy and the impact on our daily life could be minimized. And also, we should be able to assess the risk of infection around each person in near real time if we can collect data with efficiency, transparency, and privacy. So, just imagine that some customized report, customized real-time notification could be delivered on your to your phone, so that you will know that, hey, today I'd better do not go to this shopping center because the risk is a little bit higher than the other shopping center, things like that. And also the third feature is that we will have multi-source cross-validation to improve the accuracy of situation estimates and risk assessments. So which means that the value of collecting data from multiple sources is that we can validate them against each other. And especially in the early stage of this pandemic, we all read about the news about that some whistleblowers reported the outbreak in some areas. Their reports or their I would say warnings were censored by some local authorities. But in our system, reports could be peer reviewed, could be rated by peers, but will never be censored. And also, data could be corrected, but cannot be concealed or fabricated without leaving a trace. Which means if some people or some organizational units or some entities with any purposes, if they want to manipulate the data, that would be impossible if our system is deployed. And next one is that we will have safe and secured cross-industry data sharing and interactions to address current and future pandemics. Because the most important beauty of our system is to leverage the power, leverage the value of multiple data sources from multiple entities and sectors. So we need to make sure their data will be safe and secured, so that their I would say, because those data are indeed their assets. So we need to ensure their safety and the security, so that the data will only be used for the purpose of pandemic surveillance, but will not be used for other purposes than it was planned. Lastly, we will have strictest privacy protection by design, so that there's no chance for any big brother to watch you, even you are committing your personal travel data to the system. You will not be watched by any big brother. So this is a key features of our system. What we are doing is that we designed an overarching framework. It's basically a decentralized framework, and with the idea of crowdsourcing data, and also the entire platform should be evolutionary. So you can say that we have data from individuals from the bottom to the top. We can have data from individuals, we can have data from private sector entities, and we can have data from public sector entities. And all of this data will go to put onto blockchain in order to be processed in a decentralized way. But in addition to blockchain, we know that blockchain is designed for decentralization, but the blockchain is not designed for high performance computing or high performance storage. So in addition to blockchain, we will also need additional peer-to-peer storage, and we will also need grid computing, so that some heavy computational tasks could be put on grid computing other than blockchains, and also those big data, large volume of data could be put on P2P storage rather than put on blockchain, because putting everything on blockchain is not a cost-efficient way. So with that being said, we could say that the infrastructure of our system includes blockchain, peer-to-peer storage, and grid computing. On top of that, there will be modules like peer review, like data cleansing, like data integration, and data integrity processing. So based on cleaned data, we could do statistics, which is relatively simple, and we can do further analytics similar to the business intelligence, things like that. But moreover, we could also have intelligence, including some artificial intelligence modules here to help come up with some conclusions, some brilliant conclusions or insights. And the top layer is a UI layer, user interface layer. So we can shape the user interface to satisfy different type of users. For citizens, we will have a dedicated UI. For healthcare workers, we have another one, and for government, we'll have a different one. We can also have customized user interfaces for different group of people. And so this is our current work streams. We are working towards open standards, open source, and open community. First of all, we will be providing reference implementations based on our design. The reference implementations will be open source, so that people can directly use that and develop some even some commercial version based on our open source reference implementations. So because our mission or vision is to boost the deployment of this kind of concept or this kind of platform. So the systems and the components needed in this system, in this so-called blockchain-based omnidirectional pandemic surveillance, we will actually provide open source implementations for that, which includes like those icons show, which includes database, cloud computing, how people can work together on this platform, how we can manage the process, and also lots of statistics and insights that can help the lawmakers, help the government, the authority, and also the health workers. And second role is we call that industry engagement, because we cannot do this alone. The key for the success of this project or this effort is that we need industry, different industries to support these efforts. So we need to engage with key data providers to get the minimal viable data input for the purpose of pandemic surveillance without compromising their data privacy. For example, we need to engage with the telecom operators, your mobile carriers, so that we can get some anonymous data from them to try to figure out the try to track the close contacts of the virus. And also another very helpful data source is ground transportation, like a taxi, like buses, and also airlines, cruises, and the trains. All of this are transportation data we will need to help us manage the close contacts in a more precise way. We will also need the data from retail industry, from like events industry, and connect them together with the healthcare industry. So which will not only help us track the close contacts and also monitor the spread of the pandemic in a much more precise way, but also can give us clues or give us suggestions regarding how to distribute the resources, like the vaccines, like masks, like all kinds of valuable resources in this pandemic. And the third role shows that talks about deployment. So we are currently negotiating with several cities in Asia, Europe, and America, and other areas in order to deploy pilot runs in these cities, so that they could push their level of monitoring the pandemic to a higher level. So that those pilot cities will be important, but of course, we are still developing the pandemic. So we're also meanwhile negotiating with cities regarding how we can deploy our platform in their cities. But this pilot runs, as you know, will be very important for for much bigger scale deployment in the near future. And last but not the least, standardization is very important, because such kind of platform is never be done will never be done by a single company or a single entity. So it has to be collaborated. Based on the collaboration among multiple entities, multiple companies and institutions. So we are providing standards, recommended practices, and guides for cross-industry data sharing and interactions in this so-called blockchain-based omnidirectional pandemic surveillance. And for now, we established a working group, IEEE blockchain-based omnidirectional pandemic and epidemic surveillance working group. We got 10 projects approved last year, 2677.1 through .32. And these projects are jointly sponsored by IEEE Consumer Technology Society Blockchain Standards Committee and IEEE SSIT, Society on Social Implications of Technology Standards Committee, IEEE Engineering in Medicine and Biology Society Standards Committee, ENBS. The three standards committee are collectively sponsoring this work. So let's talk about our overarching framework again. You can say that we are mapping our standards onto the overarching framework. So the P2677.1 is about it's like a overarching framework. So it will describe how the building blocks are putting together to do this pandemic surveillance job. And then starting from the bottom, the data source, we have 2677.10, which is about getting how to get data from individuals in a way that we can protect their privacy and security. And P2677.11 is about how we can, in which way we get data from telecommunication companies. And P2677.12 is about how we get data from transportation industry, like the buses, like taxi company, and trains, things like that. And then, not all there are lots of different blockchains in the world for now, but not every one of them is suitable to be used for our purposes. So we have another standard, P2677.12.20, talking about the requirements on the blockchains that can be integrated in our system. And also, like I said before, in addition to blockchain, we also need a peer-to-peer storage so that we do not store high volume data on blockchain, because that would be very cost efficient. Instead, we will put high volume data on peer-to-peer storage and only store metadata such as hash keys on blockchain. So we also need a standard, which is now the P2677.21, specifies the requirements for the peer-to-peer storage that can be used in our system. And grid computing, also I mentioned before that not all the computation tasks would be good to be put on blockchain, because blockchain is supposed to be not a high performance computing system. Blockchains, its advantages is the security and also decentralization, but it is not supposed to be used for high performance computing. So that's why we need additional grid computing to conduct the computation that would be like relatively heavy tasks. So that's why we have the 2677.22 specifies the requirements, technical requirements for grid computing that can be used in our framework. And so far we do not have standards talking about the modules, the building blocks in the middle. like peer review, how to do the data cleansing, how to do the what kind of artificial intelligence we will use in the middle. So it's possible that we may launch or initiate some new standards in the near future to address the building blocks in the middle. But basically, the reason that we do not have standards for the building blocks in the middle layers is that typically you do not want to specify or standardize an algorithm. So the algorithms for data cleansing, algorithms for data integration, for artificial intelligence, people can use whatever algorithm they like, and would not affect the compatibility or sustainability of the entire system. That's why from generally we do not specify we do not want to limit what kind of algorithms can be used in this middle layers, how to process data in artificial intelligence assisted way. We do not want to limit the possibilities of that. So the next layer that we have standard efforts in is the UI layer, user interface layer. We have the 2677.30 specifies what kind of user interface we will need for citizen, and we have the 2677.31 specifies what kind of user interface we will need for healthcare, and also we have the 2677.32 specifies what kind of interface we will use for government. So overall, it's like we are working on the implementation of such kind of decentralized crowdsourcing and evolutionary way. So the end user may feel it's just an app on your cell phone, but the app would be powerful enough to tell you, like today, if you want to, for example, if you want to go to a grocery store or a shopping center, you can check on this app, and the app will tell you the risk of getting infected in that particular shopping center or particular grocery store would be at what level. So this is very useful in some countries, especially the countries that wanted to control the spread of the pandemic to the I would say as much as they can do. So in those countries, because the high level policy is to control the spread of the virus as the top one priority, in order to not compromise the business too much. Our system will be needed and be helpful, so that the pandemic surveillance could be conducted in a much more precise way, with much less impact. So overall, that's our current ongoing efforts. We started this in 2020. We are still working on that. And as you know, the situation has been changing almost every day in different countries. So we keep receiving new inputs and keep receiving new requirements and also new reference cases. So we hope we could be able to finish the standards and also reference implementation as soon as possible, maybe in the next months. So actually, to be honest with you, I hope the pandemic would be ended sooner than that. But in case that is not the case, or in case we need to get prepared for any future pandemics, our platform will be helpful. So lastly, thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I put my email address and my LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn URL on the screen. So in case you have any questions or you are interested in participating, join our effort, or seek some collaborations, like you have some similar relevant efforts ongoing, you wanted to seek collaboration with us, contact me. So I will be more than glad to seek any collaborations with you. Thank you. That's basically my presentation today.
Thank you very much for your presentations. Is there any questions?
So any questions, you can also contact me offline by sending me emails.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
I will stop the recording.